الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمهم البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والهب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجنة من مرج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يرسل عليكما شواظ من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يعرف المجرمون بسيماهم فيؤخذوا بالنواصي والأقدام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ولمن خاف مقام ربه جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ذواتا أفنان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان تخفيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما من كل فاكهة زوجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على فرش بطائنها من استبرق وجنى الجنتين دان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن قاصرات الطرف لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كأنهن الياقوت والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ومن دونهما جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مدهامتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان نضاختان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهن خيرات حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان حور مقصورات في الخصام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان متكئين على رفرف خضر وعبقري حسان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان تبارك اسم ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام صدق الله العلي العظيم.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. जब रिदा सर से चिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया हाज़ी जब रिदा सर से चिनी मैं सदा देती रही तू ना आया आले इमरान ने कहा और जिंदा ने कहा ये बहन कैद हुई जब रिदा सर से चिनी میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی، ہم کو پانی نہ ملے تیری خوشبو تو رہے، تیرے بازو نہ کھٹے چاہے مشکی زاچی دے، یہ مگر ہو نہ سکا تیرے بازو ہیں جدا، مجھ پہ ہے تشنا لبی تو نہ آیا غازی، جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی، دھوپ میں دوتا شجر تجھ سے آباد تھا گر، ہے برہنا میرا سر کیا نہیں تجھ کو خبر، اے علمدار وفا اس بہن کو باخدا، تجھ سے دارستی بدی تو نہ آیا غازی، جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی نہ آیا غازی، آ گئی شام علم لٹ گئے اہل حرم، ریت پر جلتی ہوئی ہو گیا ٹھنڈا علم، پرس دینے کے لیے مجھ سے ملنے کے لیے آ گئے بابا علی تو نہ آیا غازی، جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی، کیا کہوں شعر میرے بے ردا ہم کو لیے، یہ مسلمان سارے شہر در شہر گئے، خلقت کوفہ کبھی خلقت شام کبھی، بارہا ہم پہ ہنسی تو نہ آیا غازی، جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی، جب ردا سر سے چنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی، صلوات۔
محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔ اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو بلانا، زائر جو میرے آئے تو پلکوں پہ بٹھانا، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، جب شام غریبا کاندھے راہ نظر آئے، مقتل میں میری لاش بڑے نہ نظر آئے، ان ریت کے ذروں کو کفن میرا بنانا، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، سویا ہے تیری گود میں بانوں کا گلے تر، چھ ماہ کا سن ہے اسے معصوم سمجھ کر، ایک ماں کی طرح لوڑیا دے دے کے سلانا، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، ہر دور میں چہلم کے لیے چھوڑ کے گربار، غربت پہ میری آئے جو رونے کو آزادہ، آنکھوں سے جو دیکھا ہے وہ سب ان کو بتانا، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، سینے پہ میرے سوتی تھی جو پھول سی بچی، کیا جانے وہ کیا ہوتی ہے دنیا میں یتیمی، بن جائے گی کل سے وہ تماچوں کا نشانہ، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، زینب میری حالات سے مجبور بہت ہے، وہ خود کو سمیٹے ہیں مگر چور بہت ہے، اور اس پہ ستم یہ کہ ابھی شام ہے جانا، کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، اے کرب و بلا سو کے اٹھے جب میرا باس، کہنا کہ تیرے بعد حرم ہو گئے بے آس، اب شام کے زندان میں ہے ان کا ٹھکانہ، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا، زائر جو میرے آئے تو پلکوں پہ بٹھانا، اے کربلا حسین کے غم کو نہ بلانا۔ اور محمد وعلی محمد صلوات۔
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Tomorrow the Arba'in night program will begin after Maghribin Salat with recitation of the Holy Quran, Marsiya English Majlis by Sheikh SHABBAR MAHDI with the topic Surah Al-Kahf and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, followed by Matam and ending with Ziyarat. After that, the Arba'in day program is as follows. Fajr Jamaat Salat will begin at 4:15 a.m. followed by Ziyarat Arba'in. The Maktal program will begin after Dhuhr Salat with recitation of the Holy Quran, Marsiya, Maktal recited by Sheikh SHABBAR Mahdi, followed by Matam and ending with Ziyarat. Surah Fatiha is requested for Kul Arwah al-Marhumin as well as for Marhum Muhammad Rafiq Ghulam Hussain Pir Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Now welcome Sheikh SHABBAR Mahdi with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المأسومين المذلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين الذين كلامهم نون وأمرهم رشد ووصيتهم التقوى وفعلهم الخير وعادتهم الإحسان وسجيتهم الكرم لا سيما على الحسين المذلوم المقتول المجروح الأدشان المذبوح من القفا في يوم عاشوراء في أرض كربلاء بلا جرم ولا خطأ الذي غسله دم وكفنه رمال كربلاء مقطع الأعضاء مسلوب العمامة والرداء يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا صدق الله العلي العظيم. Our discussion continues on Surah Al-Kahf and Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, trying to understand why it was that the head of Imam Al-Hussein salamullah alayhi in these days, as it was passing through the streets of Sham, recited a number of verses of Surah Al-Kahf. And yesterday I mentioned why these people were known as Fitya and how they lived during that time between Isa alayhi salatu wassalam and the Prophet of Islam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. And from where the discussion left off yesterday, a number of questions arise about the event in history that takes place and how these people eventually become signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the first question that I have today is, yesterday I mentioned that these people lived in a society of idolatry and idol worship, such that the king of the time, Amir al-Mu'mineen, says the king forces them either they worship and prostrate him or they are thrown out of that city. And so we're told that these people eventually come towards the path of Tawheed. But the first question, before we can look at how that happens and what takes place for them to accept the haqq, the first question is that the verse that I have quoted, which the head of Hussein recites on a spear, mentions two groups of people. So are there two stories that are being referred to in Ashabul Kahf, or are both of these referring to one group of people? For the verse says, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْكَهْفِ وَالرَّقِيمِ. Did you think that the people of the cave and the people of inscription were wondrous signs of God? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has greater signs than this also. And so the first question arises, are both of these the same? Ashabul Kahf, are they the same people of inscription, or are these referring to two different groups of people? And here we understand that the historians differ. For some said Ashabul Kahf are the same people of inscription, the people of Raqim. Why? Because when these people eventually are made to sleep for a number of years, the king inscribes their names on several tablets. And so these people were known as the people of the cave, but also the people of inscription. Or some said that after this event takes place, in order to remember the story of the people of the cave. Their story used to be inscribed on tablets made of rock, and so they were known as the people of the cave or the people of inscription. However, there is one opinion which we shall see in some of our discussions, that actually this refers to two different groups of people. The people of the cave are one group of people, the people of inscription are a second group of people, and Sayyid al-Shuhada wishes to indicate to us both of these stories in the Holy Quran. And so from what we have understood, these refer to two different groups. And our current discussion is on the people of the cave. If this has been understood, the second question then comes. When these people are surrounded by worship of another human being, how is it that these people go to Tawheed? And of the most detailed reports about the people of the cave is that which is mentioned by Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, where in detail the Imam explains to us what takes place with these people. And so Amir al-Mu'mineen says that this king who sits on his throne and his followers are made to worship him and do sajda towards him, this king has 6 people that are the closest of his followers. For every king has governors, ministers. 3 would stand on one side of his minbar, 3 stand on the other side. And it is these 6 people alongside the 7th that eventually become known as the Ashabul Kahf, or the people of the cave. But what is interesting is that one of them, who is the most closest to the king, stops to ponder on some of the realities he sees in front of him. For we're told that on one occasion the king is sitting on his throne ruling. This individual, who some reports name Tilmiqa, is standing there when suddenly one of the messengers of the king enters, and he seems to be in a state of panic. Now this person, he comes straight to the king. He says, there is a bit of worrying news that we have. The king says, what is the worrying news? He said, a few kilometers away, there is another army and another ruler who has threatened to topple your throne and invade this city. So when this king hears this news, the king who claims himself to be God and a deity, the narration says he begins to shake out of fear. And suddenly at that moment something hits Tilmiqa. Tilmiqa sees this king shaking out of fear. Then he begins to ponder and think, if he was the Lord of the universe like this person claims, why would he be fearful of anyone else? For the Lord of the universe has no reason to fear anyone. Rather, every single person would fear the Lord of the universe. So why is it that this person shakes? And then something else came into his mind. Why is it that he goes to sleep at night time and he uses the washroom when he has to? What are these qualities that he has? These aren't qualities of the Lord of the universe. And so the narration says at that moment in time, something clicks in the heart of Tilmiqa. In other words, the light of his fitrah all of a sudden shines bright and takes him to the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so when this happens, and the nur of Tawheed enters into his heart, how can this human being be my Lord when he himself is dependent of that which is around him? Tilmiqa, then the narration says, has a gathering with these other 5 friends of his. And so every week, for example, in one of their houses, they gather to have a meal together. The narration says normally when they would gather, what would they discuss? Normally when they gather in one of their 6 houses, they do ghibah, they backbite, they speak about issues of the community. This person did that, this person did this. On that occasion when Tilmiqa enters, and he hosts on that occasion those other 5 of his friends, he tells them, today I wish to speak about something else. Leave the affairs that we usually speak about. The affairs of the dunya, the affairs of the people. This person did this and that person did that. Today I wish to show you the light that has entered into my heart. And so the narration says Tilmiqa begins to tell them that which entered into his mind. The one we do sajda of. How can that be our Lord? How can he be our deity? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens their hearts also. And so in the way that the light of Tawheed entered into his heart, it enters into the heart of his 5 friends. And so the scholars say this was one of the key qualities of the people of Kahf. And that is, they stop to ponder on the realities in front of them. For how many people will spend a lifetime of misguidance and dhalal and dhulma and darkness because they didn't ponder upon the realities that were in front of their eyes. So take one of the greatest examples of this, when you come to visit Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi and you visit his grave. Hur ibn Yazid, why is it that he has this light that enters into his heart at the critical moment? Like the people of Kahf. First he is misguided, then he takes the light of guidance. Hur ibn Yazid, what did he do? What was the reason that that person changes and comes on the side of Sayyid al-Shuhada, that he is known as one of the great martyrs of Karbala? What did he do? So the scholars say, when you look at his life and the moments that take place towards the end of his life, you find certain qualities in Hur ibn Yazid that were the reason for his salvation. The first thing they say is, when Hur prevents Imam al-Hussein from going any further, Hur says, no, I've been ordered to stop you immediately, and I have been ordered to keep you away from any watering source. Why? Because from the beginning, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, Yazid, wished for Hussein to die thirsty. This wasn't something that just took place. From the beginning it was planned that he dies whilst he's thirsty. And so Hur says, I have been ordered to stop you right here. Imam says, let us go a bit further. He says, no. At that moment in time, the Imam says, may your mother cry over you. ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ. So when the Imam says, may your mother cry over you, for she has given birth to a child that stops the grandson of the Prophet, Hur replies with a reply that shows to us the first quality that he had. That was the reason for his salvation. Hur says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, if anyone else had said this to me, I would have replied in the same way. But I cannot reply to you in the same way, for your mother is Fatima Zahra. In other words, he has this ma'rifah and understanding in his mind of the respect of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. If anyone else in this dunya had said this to me, I would have replied to them in the same way. Your mother is Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, I won't say the same thing. Then once he has stopped Ahlul Bayt in that area, and once Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam is unable to go any further, Sayyid al-Shuhada comes to Hur and says, it has now become the time of Salah. I shall pray Salah Jama'ah with my companions and people. You shall pray Salatul Jama'ah with your army. So again, look at the second quality of Hur. He says, Ya Abu Abdullah, if you are leading Jama'ah, why would we pray anywhere else? All of us will pray behind you. And so those that may have been the ones that shot an arrow at the heart of Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, a few days before that, pray Salah behind Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Hur realizes the greatness of Sayyid al-Shuhada. This is why he gains salvation. But the third is what I have just mentioned here, which is the quality of the people of Kahf. For Hur, on the night of Ashura, ponders. He takes time to ponder upon the realities in front of him. The narration says, when you ponder, guidance will enter into your heart. He says, I see myself bayn al-jannati wan-nar. I see heaven and paradise on one side, the fire of hell on the other. When he ponders, Allah allows Nurul Hidayah to enter into his heart. This was the quality of the people of the Kahf. And so my second question, how is it that these people were guided? Number one is that they pondered, but also Tilmikha wasn't just happy that he reached Tawheed and Haqq. Rather, he ensured that those around him also were guided by the light that he has seen. If this has been understood, the third discussion then that arises is what takes place after. What is it that they have to do once Tawheed enters into their heart? For once these people hear what Tilmikha has to say, and Tilmikha has explained to them the realities of this world, how can he who is dependent be our creator? How can the one who is fearful of others be of our creator? Eventually then these people realize that they have to make a sacrifice. And that is, we can't stay in this city any longer. For if we stay in this city, we have to worship the ruler and the king. We wish to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so what happens next is that all of these six, Because they are part of nobility. They are ashraf. They are the most noble of people in that society. They are those that stand next to the king. These people have a lot of wealth. But one of the qualities they had, that this wealth that they had accumulated, the properties they had, in one night, the narration says, they sell every single thing that they have. They collect the money, they're able to leave during one night that city. And so this told us, this part of their discussion, told us of one of the qualities of the believer when it comes to the dunya. For if I was to ask you what should be the relationship of the believer with the dunya, and in regards to wealth, these people are very wealthy, yet that wealth doesn't stop them from seeing the haqq. What should be the relationship of the believer in regards to the dunya? One of the answers that comes has been explained by these individuals. And I wish to explain this idea of how should be the position of any believer in regards to wealth and this world. There is a scholar who has written a book on akhlaq, one of the best books till today that they teach in the seminary, by the name of Jami' al-Sa'adat. Jami' al-Sa'adat was written by Mullah al-Naraqi. And Mullah al-Naraqi, there are two Naraqis, father and son. Both have written books on akhlaq and ethics and morals. So there is Mi'raj al-Sa'ada written by the father. Jami' al-Sa'adat written by the son. Jami' al-Sa'adat of the son became more popular than the one of his father. And when he had written it, Sheikh al-Naraqi near Kashan in Iran, when he had written this book, it spread all over the Islamic world. So all of the seminaries now have heard of this book, Jami' al-Sa'adat. So when this happens, naturally he himself becomes very famous. At that time there's no social media, someone can see what he looks like, they know his book. And they know the author of the book, Jami' al-Sa'adat. So what was so important about this book is that it was very comprehensive. Comprehensively discussing the akhlaq, those things that I should have in my life, those things that I should stay away from. And so there's a person who classified himself as a Sufi. Meaning I classify myself away from the world. He has one item of clothing that he wears. He doesn't have a house, he's a wayfarer. One day he stays in one place, the next day he travels and goes somewhere else. He has no belongings. All that he has with him is a kashkul. And a kashkul, most of you know, is that sort of container that these Sufis would use to seek money from, beg money. But also they would eat in this, they would use it to wash themselves. Everything he has is this kashkul. So when he reads Jami' al-Sa'adat, and he sees what great akhlaq this person is speaking about, he says, I wish to meet Mullah al-Naraqi. I'm someone who's a wayfarer. I have no money, one item of clothing, no property. I spend my life traveling. I seek help from others. This is how I live. Once he reads Jami' al-Sa'adat, he's amazed by the akhlaq and the morals in this book. And the book is amazing. So I wish to meet this person, because if the book is this amazing, how amazing will be the one that has written it? So he travels to Iraq. And when he gets to Iraq, he asks, where is the house of this person by the name of Mullah al-Naraqi? So they tell him that Mullah al-Naraqi can be found here. He says, I went to the place where his house is. I saw a very big piece of land. I saw people working on the land. I saw a masjid, and I saw a big house. So I'm thinking, which of these belongs to Naraqi? They said, he is here. So I went back. I said, no, I'm looking for Mullah Naraqi that has written a book on akhlaq. Where is his house? They said, we told you already where his house is. He says, no, but I saw a big piece of land and people working. They said, yes, that belongs to Mullah Naraqi. He said, and I saw a very big masjid. That is where Mullah Naraqi leads salah. And I saw a very big house. He said, that belongs to Mullah Naraqi. And Mullah, by the way, has different meanings in different languages. Mullah in the Iranian usage means a very big alim, a very big scholar. So this is why they call him Mullah Naraqi. So he goes back, he's very upset. This person has written a book about ethics and morals. He should have the simplest of houses, the smallest of houses, the most simplest of life. Look at his house. So he says, I knocked on the door. I says, is Mullah Naraqi Ahmed here? They said, yes. As soon as I saw him, I became angry. Straight away I said, you wrote a book on akhlaq and ethics. This is your house? But truly, Mullah Ahmed was a person of akhlaq and morals. If someone says that to you, the first thing that they say when they come to your house is, how big is your house? The first thing they say to you when they come to your house is that you're a hypocrite, look at your house. You'd slam the door shut in their face. But Mullah Ahmed is very calm. He says, no problem. This is what you think. Should we go to Karbala? He says, what do you mean? He says, no, you've come to my house. I in my heart suddenly have the desire to visit Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. In Karbala, would you like to join me in Karbala? He said, what, right now? He said, yes. So he thinks for a bit. He said, okay, let's go. So immediately he closes the door, as he is, Mullah Naraqi. And he said, let's go on my horse, and we travel towards Karbala. They start to travel. After 15, 20 minutes, this Sufi, he stops Mullah Naraqi. He says, we have to go back. He says, what do you mean? He says, take me back to your house. He says, why? He says, I forgot something there. What does he have that he will forget something? He doesn't own anything. He says, that kashkol that I had, that I used to collect money, and I used to wash myself, and I used to eat, I have forgotten that kashkol in your house. We have to go back. So Mullah Ahmed Naraqi says, I'll buy you a better one on the way. I'll buy you one from Karbala. It will be even better that I got you one from Karbala. He says, no, we have to go back. I won't leave it. He says, why? It was given to me by this person, and I had it for this many years, and I have an emotional attachment with it. So they go all the way back to Mullah Naraqi's house. Mullah Naraqi gives him the kashkol. The person says, let's go. So Mullah Ahmed says, go where? He says, Karbala. He says, I don't want to go to Karbala. He says, just now, 20 minutes ago, you said, let's go to Karbala. He says, no, I'm trying to show you something. I have all of this property, all of these workers, Salatul Jama'ah, such a big house. In one moment, I was able to leave everything to visit Hussein, alayhi salatu wassalam. But all you have is one kashkol. You couldn't leave that kashkol to visit Hussein. Who has dunya more in their hearts, me or you? The idea isn't that I have that which is part of wealth or dunya. The idea is how much attached am I to this world and the wealth of this world. In other words, it's not wrong to live in the dunya. It's wrong for the dunya to live inside you and inside your heart. And so Ashabul Kahf have a lot of wealth. But wealth wasn't necessarily something negative. That wealth was negative. That prevented me from getting to my Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where I'm unable to leave that wealth when I'm attached to the issues of this dunya. And so these people of Ashabul Kahf have a lot of money, but within a split second, when they realize that to practice Tawheed and the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to leave everything. The narration says, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam says, that in a split moment they leave everything. The next day they are on their horses, they begin to leave the city. Now when they leave the city, the narration says that this king is very paranoid of anyone leaving or anyone entering. And so on the outskirts of the city he has kept certain guards. And whenever someone wishes to leave that city, he shall ask them, where are you going and when shall you return? And so these six that wish now to go to somewhere where they can do ibadah and worship their Lord, as they leave, they are friends of the king. The people on the outskirts of the city ask them, where are you going? So they reply by saying, we are going to hunt. We're going on a hunting trip. We shall be back in a few hours. And so these people leave. As we leave, eventually a time comes after traveling a number of miles, they decide to get off their horses and walk. Why? Because Tilmiqa says that if we walk, it will be less likely for us to be found, for the paranoid king will come searching for us, looking for us. And so they put their horses to the side and they begin to walk. And the narrations say that they walk for a number of miles until their feet end up being covered in blisters and blood. These people are thirsty, these people are hungry, these people need shelter. Imagine people that are used to royalty and sitting with the king. Now they're in the middle of nowhere with no food, no water, no shelter, on foot. And so then we're told that they join that person or meet that individual who becomes the seventh member of Ashabul Kahf. And that is that farmer. And my fourth question is, what quality did this individual have that is classified as a godly quality in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For this farmer has one very interesting quality. As these people are walking, they're tired. Some have said that if they hadn't met this farmer at that time, in a few hours they would have died out of thirst and hunger. So they see this farmer who has with him a dog. And when they see this farmer, he stops them. And the farmer can see that these people are dressed as royalty. So the farmer says to them, you must have come from the king. Now they said, there's no point to lie. He can see what we're wearing. We said, yes, we have come from the king. So he looks them up and down. He says, from the state of your clothing, the state of your faces, the state of your feet, it seems that you have fled from the king. I said, yes. So he says, why? What's the reason behind this? So the narration says these people decide to tell this farmer the truth of what has entered into their hearts. And so Tilmiqa begins to tell them about the truth, the haqq, tawheed, that which they have seen. And this person eventually then says, what you have explained to me, this has entered into my heart also. And so I also wish to worship Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of the universes, the one Lord that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I shall help you. So these people then say, do you have any food? Do you have any water? Do you have any shelter for us? That quality, which was one of the most important godly qualities of this farmer, is that he rushed to help those who asked him for something in their time of need. For one of the qualities of the people of God is this. As soon as they say, do you have anything for us to drink, any food, whatever he has with him, the narration says, he gives to these people. And he takes them to that place which later becomes the cave in which they settle. The people of God rush to fulfill the needs of those around them. I'll give you an example. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi has a very interesting narration. He says, when someone asks me for a certain haja, I rush to fulfill it. Why? Think about yourself. When someone asks you for a certain thing, a lot of us will delay it as much as we can. Why? So this person came to me and said, give me $5,000 as a loan. I said, I'll give it to you in a few days. Why? I'm hoping by the time those few days come, he doesn't need it anymore, someone else has given it to him. When someone asks me for something, I delay giving it to them because I try to wish and hope that someone else fulfills their need. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam says the exact opposite. He says, when someone asks me for a certain thing, I rush immediately to fulfill it. Why, Ibn Rasulullah? He said, because I'm fearful that if I delay answering their need, by the time I come to give them that which they require, they don't need it anymore. In other words, I wish to give it to them straight away so that I am classified as the one that fulfills the need of the people. For when a person requires something from me, this is one of the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over me. The narration says, the narration of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, فَإِنَّ مِن نِعَمِ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ حَوَائِجَ النَّاسِ إِلَيْكُمْ. Of the bounties of Allah upon you is someone needs something from me. When they need something from me, meaning Allah has made me an intermediary to answer that person's need. And so what was the quality of this farmer is that he rushed to fulfill the need of these people. And you find that in the narrations, this idea is stressed upon, that when another person, especially another mu'min, asks you for something, you try your utmost to fulfill the needs of a mu'min. Before I take the discussion further, I give you this example. The book of Khisal mentions this narration. There's a prophet of God. Now we don't know who that prophet of God is. His name is not mentioned. Certain prophets of God, as Quran al-Kareem mentions, their wahy and revelation comes through dreams. Like when Ibrahim ﷺ sees that he is sacrificing his son Ismail, that wahy came to him through a dream. And parts of the revelation given to the prophet also were parts of dreams. Sometimes he would see a true dream, that would be his revelation. So this prophet of God, all of his revelation comes to him through dreams. So he sleeps one night, and in his dream, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs him, tells him, he hears a voice, that you have to do 5 things tomorrow. These 5 things you have to act upon. The first thing you see, eat it. The second thing you see, stay away from it. The third thing, bury it. The fourth, accept it. The fifth, don't say no to it. 5 things. He's a prophet of God. He doesn't know what this revelation is. He wakes up. The first thing I have to see, eat it. So he leaves his house. The first thing he sees is a mountain in front of him. Now, revelation is revelation. It's not like a dream that me or you have seen. Because what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trying to tell me? As he gets closer to the mountain, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Until the narration says by the time he gets to the mountain, it fits in the palm of his hand. And when he's ordered to eat it, he thinks, what shall be the taste of this mountain? A mountain shall taste bitter. But as soon as he places it in his mouth, he finds it tasting very sweet. The second thing you see, stay away from it. This is when I turned away after eating the mountain. I saw a dead bird or animal there, so I walked over it. I walked up past it, I stayed away from it. The third thing you see, bury it. So I saw a golden chest, treasure chest. So I began to dig. The Prophet says, I buried this golden chest. As soon as I buried it under the ground, it came back on top of the earth. So what did my revelation say? Bury it. It didn't say keep on burying it, hide it, bury it. I buried it. As soon as I buried it, it came back onto the earth. I've done what I was told to do. The fourth thing you see, accept it. So I saw 2 animals, one hunting and running after another. The one that was being hunted came to me as if it was seeking my help. So I opened my, for example, abba, and the animal entered, I accepted it. It came running to me to seek help, I accepted it. The fifth thing you see, don't say no to it. The fifth thing he saw was the animal that was hunting. This animal told the Prophet of God, you have taken my rizq, give me back my rizq. So he opens his abba and gives the animal to the hunter. He sees these 5 things, he doesn't know what the philosophy behind them is. When he sleeps again the next night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him the reason behind his actions. The first thing you see, eat it. This was symbolizing anger. For when you first saw the mountain, you thought it will be very difficult to eat it, but it became very easy and small. Likewise, when it comes for you to swallow your anger, you think it shall be very difficult, but actually it's very easy. You assume that the taste of it shall be bitter. The taste was what? Sweet. Likewise, when you swallow your anger, there is a sweetness that you feel. The second thing, stay away from it. What was it? A dead animal. This was symbolizing ghiba and backbiting. Stay away from it, for when you indulge in it, it's as if you have eaten the flesh of your brother or sister. The third thing, bury it. He says, what happened when you buried that treasure chest? He said, it came back onto the earth. He said, these are the acts of obedience that you do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, what do you mean? He says, it's your job, Allah says, it's your job to hide these actions from everyone else. It's my job to reveal them in front of every single person. It's your job to do it when no one can see that which you're doing. As soon as you hid it, it came back onto the earth. And so as soon as you perform something solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah makes it known in front of the people's eyes that this is a muhsin, a person of good. The fourth thing you saw, accept it, you saw that animal. This is symbolizing when a person gives you sincere piece of advice. Accept the advice of other people, this will lead to your success. The fifth, which is that quality of this farmer. And this is the quality of the people of God. I said the fifth thing, don't say no to it, say yes to it. He said this symbolizes when a mu'min believer comes and asks you for a hajah. Don't say no to that hajah when they ask you for it, say yes for it. Say yes to that hajah. And so this farmer, when he is approached by these people, gives them whatever he has until eventually they settle for the night in that cave. And we're told that this king, when he sees that the 6 people that normally sit next to me today are not present, realizes something is going on. So he sends a number of his guards, go and search for these 6 friends of mine. And eventually, as they travel and travel and travel, they find these 6 people with a 7th and that dog resting in a cave. So they come back to the king. They said, we have found those people that seem to have run away from you. So he says, what state did you find them in? He said, I saw that their clothing has been tattered. Their feet were covered in blood. They looked very tired. So the king says, leave them there, for they shall be the reason for their own destruction. Meaning, I don't need to punish them. They shall kill themselves due to the way that they have left. Where will they go in the middle of nowhere? They may travel a bit further tomorrow. By the next day, they shall have left this world. This shall be their punishment. If these preliminary discussions about the people of the Kahf has been understood, we understand another reason why Imam al-Hussein recites these verses when his head is on a spear. For I said, these people, in order to not succumb and submit to a dhalim, leave everything they have, leave their city and migrate, in the way that Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam and his companions. In order not to give bay'ah to Yazid, leave Madinatul Munawwara. And in the way that these people travel on foot, travel away from a dhalim and an oppressor, these people are thirsty. These people are hungry. These people have no one to give them shelter. Likewise, this was the state of Hussein and Ashabul Hussein. And so this is the second reason why he says, have you seen the story of Ashabul Kahfi wal Raqim? That which these people did, the people of Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam did likewise. For they left women and children. The companions, many of them left women and children behind, left whatever they had for the sake of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. But there is a difference. For, O people of Kahf, when you were thirsty, this farmer was there to quench your thirst. When you required shelter, this farmer was there to give you shelter. When Ashabul Hussein and Hussein was thirsty, Abbas would have wished to give them water. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had written for Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas not to be able to give water to the women and the children. In the way that they migrated and left, Hussein leaves Madinatul Munawwara, and when Hussein ibn Ali settles on the 3rd of Muharram in Karbala, when he settles in Karbala, he tells Sayyidah Zainab about what shall soon take place. So Sayyidah Zainab begins to cry that you shall be killed and massacred alongside your companions in this land. The holy Imam recites a line of poetry that was present before Islam. He says, لو ترك القطاء ليلا لنام. Qata is a very precious bird. The line of poetry translates as follows: if the bird was allowed to rest, it would sleep. So what was Imam trying to say? So the scholars say one interpretation of this is that this bird that the Imam has mentioned is so beautiful and is so expensive that in the Arab world people would always try to hunt this bird. And because of that, the bird is unable to stay in one place. And so the proverb is, if the bird was not sought after, it would be sleeping. But because it's always hunted for, it goes from one place to another. In other words, he was telling Sayyidah Zainab, this blood of Hussein is very dear in the eyes of these people. If they had not come after me, I would be next to the grave of my grandfather and next to the grave of my mother Fatima Zahra. But because these people have hunted and come after Hussein, you find him going from one place to another until he settles in Karbala. And the final moments of Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam are seen in Karbala. Today even the poetry was about Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. In my mind also I wish to mention the musiba of Abu al-Fadl. For we're told that there is a time that camps are set in Karbala. You have seen the Mukhayyam and been to the Mukhayyam. When these camps are set, there is one specific camp that is there just to store the storage of water. The sole reason for this camp, this tent, is that we place water there. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, on the day of Ashura, enters into that tent. He sees the young women and children of Hussein in this tent, looking at the empty containers of water and saying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. It's at that moment in time that Abu al-Fadl, his heart breaks. he comes to his master and brother Hussein, grant me permission. You have come to do ziyarah of Abu al-Fadl and Hussein. Understand the loyalty of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Understand the greatness of Abu al-Fadl. For there's a time that Yazid ibn Muawiyah sits on his mimbar. And all of the things that were stolen from Ahlul Bayt are brought to him. The things that were taken from Zainab and Kulthum, everything is brought in front of Yazid. And he sees spears in front of him. He sees swords in front of him. He sees an alam, a standard and a flag. The narration says he looks at this standard and flag and sees that every single place he can see on this flag, there are holes and injuries and damages. Now, every single part of this flag has been shot by arrows except for one part. All of the flag is covered by the marks of spears and arrows except for the place where the hands rest. So he looks at his people, he says, whose flag is this? Why is it that all of it is covered in arrows except for the place where the hands rest? They said, Yazid, this is the standard of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He said, look at the loyalty of Abbas. The reason why the place where the hands rest has no arrows is because until his last moments, Abbas holds on to this flag. He doesn't let go of the flag. The only time the flag falls on the ground is when they cut the hands of Abu al-Fadl. Then Yazid would say, what can I say about a brother like this? And how can I curse Abbas? For he showed us how a person is loyal to their brother. When Abbas sees that the girls, the young children are in this tent, looking at empty containers of water, he comes to Abu Abdullah, grant me permission. Hussein says, I have given you permission, but Abu Abdullah says, first gain permission from your sister Zainab al-Kubra. Then you can go to the battlefield. Abbas says, I entered into the tent. I said, oh my sister Zainab, grant me permission to go to the battlefield. Zainab says, Abbas, sit down, for I have remembered something. Abbas sits down. Zainab says, there was a time where our father Amirul Mu'mineen took me through the streets of Kufa. He said, Zainab, this is the marketplace of Kufa. This is the gate to enter into Kufa. This is Darul Amara. Zainab would say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, why do I need to know all of these things? Ali would say, because you will be made captive and prisoner in these streets. Zainab would say, I would respond, I have 18 brothers, and one of them is Abbas. How will I be made captive? But now you go to the battlefield, I know my hands will be in chains. Abbas seeks permission from Zainab, the standard in one hand, an empty container in the other. He goes to the battlefield. The enemy tried to attack him on 6 occasions until Abbas gets to the Furat. He places the water in his hands. He says, Ya nafs min ba'd al-Husayn huni. Oh nafs, how can you drink when Hussein is thirsty? He fills up the container, he retreats towards the Mukhayyam. Again they try to surround him. No one can defeat Abbas face to face. And so one of them was hiding behind a tree. He comes from behind Abbas, he strikes the right hand. Abbas would say, in qata'tum yamini, inni uhami abadan an dini. If you cut my right hand, I have a left. He continues towards the mukhayyam. A person comes behind him, strikes his left hand. They say there are 3 arrows shot on Ashura that break the heart of Abu Abdullah. The first is the one shot at the chest of Ali al-Akbar. The second is the one that pierces the neck of Ali al-Asghar. What is the third? Abbas has no hands. The container is in his mouth. Someone aims an arrow in the eye of Abu al-Fadl. Abu al-Fadl would say, when someone shot me in my eye, when someone has something in their eye, they use their hands to remove it. But I did not have my hands. I bent down to remove it with my knee. Someone strikes him on his head. Abbas falls on the ground. He says, Ya akhi, adrik akhak. Oh brother, come and help your brother. Hussein comes rushing to the battlefield. He picks up the right hand and the left. He says, الآن انكسر ذري. Now my back has broken. Hussein comes to the body of Abbas. He places the head in his lap. Abbas moves his head on the ground. He places it on his lap a second time. Abbas puts his head on the ground. Hussein would say, why do you not allow your head to rest in my lap? Look at the response of Abu al-Fadl. He says, I am thinking in my last moments I have a lap to rest my head, but in your last moments there is no lap for the head of Hussein. Hussein brushes the blood from his eye. He takes the standard. He returns back to the tents. Who is the first to come running to ask about Abbas? Books of Maqtal say Sakina comes running. Ayna Ammi al-Abbas? Where is my uncle Abbas? Hussein would say his body lies next to the Furat.
على لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. إلهي بالحسين الوجيه وجده وأبيه وأمه وأخيه والتسعة المعصومين من ذريته وبنيه، اغفر لأوليائنا وكف عنا أعداءنا واشغلهم عن أذانا وأظهر كلمة الحق واجعلها العليا وأدهث كلمة الباطل واجعلها السفلى إنك على كل شيء قدير. يا حسين.
शाम का बाजार कुजा, शाम का बाजार कुजा, आबिदे बीमार कुजा, शाम का बाजार कुजा. مجمع اغیار کجا ہائے شام ہائے شام ہائے شام ہائے شام ہائے شام ہائے شام تیری امت کے زیور پہن کر تیری امت کے زیور پہن کر وہ دیکھو نانا چلی ہوں میں شام شام ہائے شام شام ہائے شام ہائے شام شام ہائے شام میں دیتی کفن تجھ کو بھیا اگر سر پہ ردا میرے ہوتی اگر ہوتے کھلے ہاتھ میرے پھر زخموں کو ہاتھوں سے دھوتی پابندے رسن سر برہنا پابندے رسن دیکھو بھیا چلی ہوں میں شام شام ہائے شام شام ہائے شام ہائے شام جس زینب کو تم نے برادر کبھی نظر اٹھا کر نہ دیکھا ہاتھ راسی سے میرے بندھے ہیں اور سر پر نہیں میرا پردہ کسے کوفے میں جاؤں گی غازی کسے کوفے میں جاؤں گی غازی جب پلوے میں آئے گا نام شام 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 جس دربار پاس آ رہا ہے میرا دل ڈوبتا جا رہا ہے میں تو گھر میں بھی کم بولتی تھی بھائی تم کو تو سب کچھ پتا ہے کس طرح سے کرے گی بتا دے کس طرح سے کرے گی بتا دے ایک شرابی سے زینب کلام شام ہائے شام ہائے شام شام ہائے شام شام ہائے شام دل یہ کہتا ہے رو رو کے بھیا کاش عباس موجود ہوتا کاٹ دیتا وہ اس کی زبان کو کوئی باقی اگر مجھ کو کہتا وہ دیکھتی پھر میں کس طرح لیتا دیکھتی پھر میں کس طرح لیتا کوئی زینب کا مجمع میں نام شام ہائے شام 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 ہائے شام تیری امت کے زیور پہن کر تیری امت کے زیور پہن کر وہ دیکھو نانا چلی ہوں میں شام شام ہائے شام
حشر میں رنگ لائے گا خون شہیدہ دیکھنا حشر میں رنگ لائے گا خون شہیدہ دیکھنا حشر میں رنگ لائے گا خون شہیدہ حشر میں رنگ لائے گا خون شہیدہ آئیں گی جب فاطمہ آئیں گی جب فاطمہ حال پریشان دیکھنا حشر میں رنگ لائے گا خون شہیدہ دیکھنا حشر میں رنگ لائے گا خون شہیدہ دیکھنا روبرو بابا کے جب خاتون جنت آئے گی کالی جولی سرورے کونین کو دکھلائے گی یقین تر آئے گا، بالیقین تر آئے گا، محشر کا میدان دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، خون شہیدہ حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، رکھ دیا برچی نے اکبر کا کلیجہ چیر کے، رخ بدل ڈالے ہیں امت نے تیری تصویر کے، مالک کوثر ذرا، مالک کوثر ذرا، امت کے احسان دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، اصغر معصوم کے لب پر سوال آب ہے، بوند پانی کے لیے وہ کس قدر بیتاب ہے، نہر سے پانی نہیں، نہر سے پانی نہیں دیتے مسلمان، دیکھنا حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، خون شہیدہ دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، خون شہیدہ دیکھنا، زینب و کلثوم سے کہتا تھا شمر بد گوہر، شام میں جاؤ گی ننگے سر پھرو گی در بدر، کربلا کے بعد اب، کربلا کے بعد اب تاریخ زندہ دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، خون شہیدہ دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، روبرو بابا کے جب خاتون جنت آئیں گی، خالی جولی سرور کونین کو دکھلائیں گی، بالیقین تر آئے گا، بالیقین تر آئے گا، محشر کا میدان دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، خون شہیدہ دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، خون شہیدہ دیکھنا، حشر میں رنگ لائے گا، خون شہیدہ دیکھنا،
آ گیا چہلم قریب مومنو ماتم کرو، آ گیا چہلم قریب مومنو ماتم کرو، گیا چہلم قریب سینہ و سر پیٹ لو، آ گیا چہلم قریب